Welcome to our deep dive, into this whole fascinating world of mindsets and their impact on success.
Yeah.
Today, we're exploring the work of Carol Dweck and her groundbreaking book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success.
Oh, yeah. Mindset. It's a classic.
It is.
Her work has really, I think, revolutionized the way we think about achievement and potential.
Absolutely. It's all about those fixed versus growth mindsets, right?
Yeah.
And how those beliefs just color our entire approach to challenges, to setbacks, even to what we consider success.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about how our beliefs about our abilities can actually shape the reality of our lives.
Okay, so let's dive into this.
Okay.
Can you paint a picture of these two contrasting worlds that Dweck describes? Like the fixed mindset world and the growth mindset world.
Imagine two separate planets.
Okay.
On fixed mindset, planet success is all about validating your inherent brilliance.
Okay.
You were either born smart or you weren't. And every achievement is a test to prove you've got the right stuff.
Got it.
Failure. That's a catastrophe on this planet.
Yeah.
Because it means you're not as smart as you thought you were.
It's exposed.
Yeah. You're a fraud.
Right. Yeah.
You're a phony.
Yeah. So effort is probably not very popular on fixed mindset planet then.
Okay. Effort is almost a dirty word there.
Really?
It's seen as something only people who lack natural talent need.
Okay.
In this world, needing to try hard means you're not good enough.
Wow. That sounds incredibly limiting.
It is.
Okay. Now what about growth mindset planet?
Yeah.
I'm guessing things are a bit different there.
Night and day.
Oh,
On growth mindset planet, success is about the journey of learning and becoming more capable.
Yeah.
Effort isn't a weakness, but the engine that propels you forward.
Okay.
And failure, it's just feedback. It's a signal to adjust your approach.
Got it.
And keep striving.
Okay, that already makes me feel more optimistic.
Good.
But how do these mindsets actually play out in the real world? Does Dweck offer any concrete examples?
She does.
Right.
She talks about this young boy who, based on a single kindergarten placement test, became convinced that his intelligence was permanently set.
Oh, no.
He went on to excel academically.
So he was smart.
But he could never truly embrace his achievements.
Interesting.
He was constantly waiting for that other shoe to drop to be exposed as not truly smart.
That's heartbreaking. It shows how a fixed mindset can hold us back even when we're achieving great things.
Right.
It makes me wonder, what are the psychological mechanisms at play here?
Yeah.
Why would someone cling to a fixed mindset even when it's clearly causing them pain?
That's a fascinating question. And I think it gets to the heart of why understanding mindsets is so important.
Right.
Dweck argues that a fixed mindset is rooted in a deep-seated need to protect our ego. Okay. If our intelligence or abilities are fixed, then any failure becomes a threat to our sense of self-worth.
So it's less about actual ability and more about preserving this image of ourselves as inherently smart or talented.
Yes.
We'd rather avoid a challenge than risk failing and shattering that image.
Precisely. And that fear of failure can be paralyzing. Yeah. It keeps us stuck in our comfort zones, prevents us from taking risks, and ultimately limits our growth.
This is starting to make a lot of sense now.
Good.
It's not just about intelligence or talent. It's about how we perceive those things.
Right.
And how those perceptions influence our choices.
Exactly.
But what about effort?
Yeah.
You mentioned that fixed mindset folks see effort as a weakness.
Right.
Can you unpack that a bit more?
Dweck dives into this effort paradox.
Okay.
It's fascinating. To someone with the fixed mindset, needing to put in effort is like admitting defeat. That means they're not naturally gifted in that area.
It's almost like effort exposes a flaw in their self-image.
Yes.
They're so focused on appearing effortlessly brilliant that the actual work, the grit, the struggle becomes something to hide.
Exactly. She gives the example of the talented violinist Nadja Salerno-Sonnenberg.
Oh, yeah.
She resisted putting in the effort to refine her technique.
Interesting.
Because she feared it would undermine her image as a prodigy.
It's as if she was clinging to this fixed idea of who she was.
Right.
Like the effortlessly brilliant violinist.
Yes.
But that fear of effort ultimately prevented her from reaching her full potential.
It did. This is a common thread in many of Dweck's examples. People with fixed mindsets often shy away from situations that require them to stretch themselves and risk making mistakes.
Okay, This all starting to click for me.
Good.
But what about failure?
Okay.
How do these different mindsets shape the way we experience and respond to setbacks?
Well, for someone with a fixed mindset,
Yeah.
failure is a personal indictment. It's proof that they're not as smart or talented as they thought they were. They take it very personally.
And I imagine that can make failure incredibly painful.
It is.
And difficult to recover from.
Absolutely. They might dwell on their mistakes,
Yeah.
blame others, or simply give up altogether.
Yeah.
It reinforces their belief that their abilities are fixed and they can't do anything to change the outcome.
So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
The fixed mindset leads to a fear of failure.
Right.
Which in turn makes failure more likely and more devastating when it does occur.
You've got it.
Okay.
But for someone with a growth mindset, failure is simply feedback. It's an opportunity to learn what didn't work, adjust their approach, and try again.
They don't see it as a reflection of their worth.
Exactly.
But rather as valuable information that can help them grow and improve.
Exactly. Dweck talks about Jim Marshall, the football player who accidentally scored for the opposing team.
Oh, no.
It was a mortifying mistake played out on a national stage.
That's a pretty public and embarrassing failure.
Yes.
I'd be tempted to crawl into a hole and never come out.
But instead of letting that define him, Marshall used it as motivation.
Okay.
He channeled that experience into working harder and becoming a better player.
Wow.
He literally turned failure into fuel for growth.
That's a powerful example of how a growth mindset can transform a potentially devastating experience into a springboard for improvement.
It is, and it highlights the importance of reframing failure. Instead of seeing it as a sign of weakness, we can choose to view it as a stepping stone on the path to success.
This is all so insightful. I'm already starting to see how these mindsets can play out in so many different areas of life.
Yes.
But before we move on, I'm curious to hear how these mindsets affect our very definition of success. Does success mean something different to someone with a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset?
It absolutely does. For someone with a fixed mindset, success is often about validating their inherent superiority. They need to constantly prove they're smarter, more talented, or more special than others.
It sounds exhausting.
It can be.
Like they're constantly in competition with everyone, even themselves.
And it often leads to a fragile sense of self-worth. They're constantly seeking external validation, afraid to be seen as ordinary or average.
So success becomes less about genuine accomplishment and more about maintaining this image of exceptionalism.
Exactly.
This facade of effortless brilliance.
You're right. Think of John McEnroe.
Yeah.
The tennis prodigy who became notorious for his on-court tantrums.
Oh, yeah.
And blaming others for his losses.
He was a hothead.
He was so fixated on proving his superiority that he couldn't handle setbacks gracefully.
It's interesting to contrast him with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Who, despite being considered a superhuman athlete, remained remarkably humble.
Yes.
And focused on continuous improvement.
That's a great comparison.
Yeah.
Even at the pinnacle of his career, Jordan was always striving to get better.
Wow.
He embraced the growth mindset, seeking out challenges and constantly pushing his limits.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense.
Good.
The fixed mindset seeks to validate existing abilities.
Yes.
While the growth mindset is all about developing, expanding those abilities.
Exactly.
But what about confidence? Do you need to be naturally confident to have a growth mindset?
That's a common misconception. In fact, the research suggests the opposite.
Oh, really?
People with a growth mindset tend to gain confidence through their efforts and the progress they make.
So it's not about starting out feeling super confident. It's about developing confidence through the process of learning, making mistakes, and overcoming challenges.
Exactly. Dweck found that students with a growth mindset actually became more confident over time, even when they made mistakes. They saw those mistakes as opportunities for learning, not as evidence of their limitations.
I'm loving this. It's so empowering. It means we don't have to wait until we feel confident to start embracing a growth mindset. We can start taking action, even if we're feeling uncertain or insecure. And that action itself can help build our confidence.
You're getting it. It's about shifting the focus from inherent ability to the process of growth and development.
This has been so eye-opening. Yeah. I'm starting to see how pervasive these mindsets are.
Yeah.
And how much they influence our experiences in every area of life. Exactly. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have one last question.
Okay.
Is everything changeable?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Are there some things about ourselves that we should just accept?
Right.
Even if they don't fit neatly into the growth mindset model? That's a great question, and it's one that Dweck addresses in her book.
Okay.
While a growth mindset encourages us to embrace challenges and strive for improvement, she also acknowledges that not everything needs to be changed.
Sometimes we can get so caught up in the self-improvement frenzy that we forget to appreciate who we are.
Exactly.
Warts and all.
You're right. Dweck shares this hilarious anecdote
I love anecdotes.
about a taxi driver who absolutely hated opera.
Oh, no.
But forced himself to listen to it for years, hoping to cultivate a taste for it.
Oh, no, poor guy.
The point is, it's okay to have preferences and to accept those parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily want to change.
Yeah.
A growth mindset isn't about forcing ourselves into some idealized mold.
Yeah.
It's about choosing where we want to grow and allowing ourselves to be who we are, even in those areas where we might not be striving for mastery.
I think that's a perfect place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, but I'm already itching to dive back into this.
Great.
There's so much more to explore.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into the fascinating world of mindsets and their impact on success.
See you there.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of mindsets.
We've been unpacking Carol Dweck's mindset, the new psychology of success, and it's already changing the way I think about achievement.
That's the power of understanding these mental frameworks, right? It can be a real game changer.
Yeah, totally. In part 1, we explored those contrasting worlds of fixed versus growth mindsets and how those beliefs, color our perception of everything, like success, failure, even the role of effort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious to see how these mindsets play out in specific areas of life.
Okay. Yeah. Let's start with sports.
Okay.
It's a world where the impact of mindsets is often very visible.
Yeah, it's true. You see those athletes who seem to have all the talent in the world, but never quite reach their potential.
Dweck argues that a fixed mindset can actually be a major barrier to fulfilling your potential in sports.
Well, even if you're naturally gifted, a fixed mindset can hold you back.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you believe your abilities are fixed, you're less likely to embrace challenges or seek out feedback or put in the necessary effort to improve.
Yeah. You become risk averse.
Yeah.
Right.
You're clinging to what you already know.
It's like you're protecting this fragile ego instead of pushing yourself to grow.
Exactly. Dweck tells the story of John McEnroe, who, despite his incredible tennis talent, was plagued by a fixed mindset. He often blamed others for his losses, resisted coaching, and struggled to handle setbacks.
It almost seemed like his need to protect his image as a prodigy prevented him from truly reaching his full potential.
That's a key insight. The fixed mindset often prioritizes appearances over genuine growth.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
But what about those athletes who seem to thrive under pressure, who rise to the occasion when the stakes are high?
Right.
Do they all have growth mindsets?
Not necessarily. Dweck points out that some individuals with fixed mindsets can achieve a high level of success.
Oh, okay.
But their journey is often fraught with anxiety.
Oh, okay.
And a constant need to prove themselves.
So they might achieve outward success.
Yeah.
But they're not experiencing the same joy and fulfillment that comes with a growth mindset.
Exactly. They're driven by a fear of failure rather than a love of the game and a desire to improve.
It makes me think about Michael Jordan, who's often cited as the ultimate example of a growth mindset in action.
Right.
Even at the peak of his career, he was always pushing himself to get better.
Jordan is a fascinating case study.
Yeah.
He had immense natural talent.
Right.
But it was his relentless work ethic and willingness to learn that truly set him apart.
He wasn't afraid to fail to make mistakes.
Yeah.
He saw those setbacks as opportunities to learn and improve his game.
And that's a hallmark of the growth mindset.
Okay.
It's not about being fearless or never experiencing doubt.
Right.
It's about embracing the challenges.
Right.
And using setbacks as fuel for growth.
This is giving me a whole new perspective on athletic performance.
Yeah.
It's not just about physical skills. It's about the mental game, right?
Yes.
The mindset you bring to the court, the field or the track.
You're absolutely right. And this insight isn't limited to the world of sports.
Oh, okay.
These same mindset principles apply to other areas of life, like the business world.
Okay, let's talk business. I'm particularly interested in how mindsets influence leadership and success, in that realm.
Dweck argues that leaders with a growth mindset create a very different culture within their companies.
Okay, so they're not just focused on their own success, right?
Yes, yeah.
They're invested in the growth and development of their employees.
Precisely. They see potential in others, and they're willing to mentor and nurture that potential.
Okay.
They create environments where it's safe to take risks,
right,
to experiment, and to learn from mistakes.
That sounds like the kind of leader I'd love to work for, someone who values learning and encourages growth, not just results.
That's a powerful approach. These leaders understand that fostering a growth mindset is essential for innovation and long-term success.
So what about leaders with fixed mindsets?
Yeah.
How do they operate?
Leaders with fixed mindsets tend to be more focused on proving their own brilliance and maintaining control.
So they want to be the smartest person in the room.
Yes. They may surround themselves with yes men and avoid constructive criticism.
That sounds like a recipe for stagnation and eventually failure.
It can be. Dweck discusses the downfall of Enron as a cautionary tale.
Oh, yeah.
The leadership team had a fixed mindset, obsessed with appearing infallible, and maintaining their image of success.
Didn't that lead to a culture of fear and silence where people were afraid to speak up about problems?
Exactly.
Or challenge the status quo?
Exactly. And ultimately, that contributed to the company's collapse. It's a stark example of how a fixed mindset at the top can permeate an entire organization and lead to disastrous consequences.
This contrast between fixed and growth mindsets in leadership is really fascinating.
Dweck also highlights positive examples like Lou Gerstner, who turned around IBM.
Okay.
He had a growth mindset, embracing challenges and seeking diverse perspectives. He transformed IBM's culture and led them back to success.
So once again, we see how a growth mindset can be a catalyst for positive change, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
It's not just about talent or resources. It's about the underlying beliefs that shape our actions and ultimately our outcomes.
This has been incredibly insightful. I'm starting to see how these mindsets permeate like every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
And speaking of pervasive, how do these mindsets play out in our personal relationships? That's an area I'm really curious about.
It's a great question. Our mindsets can profoundly influence how we approach romantic relationships, friendships, and even family dynamics.
So how does a fixed mindset show up in relationships? Does it look different than in, say, a business setting?
There are certainly parallels. People with fixed mindsets often approach relationships with a need to prove their worth or superiority.
So it's less about genuine connection and intimacy and more about seeking validation from their partner.
You've hit the nail on the head. And because they see their own qualities as fixed, they may have difficulty accepting their partner's flaws or working through conflicts constructively.
So any challenge to the relationship becomes the threat to their ego.
Right.
And they're more likely to either withdraw or become defensive.
Exactly. They might also be quick to blame their partner when problems arise, rather than taking responsibility for their own role in the dynamic.
That doesn't sound like a very healthy or fulfilling way to approach a relationship.
It's not. On the other hand, people with growth mindsets tend to approach relationships with a more open and accepting attitude.
Okay.
They see their partners as individuals with their own strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
and they're willing to work through challenges together.
Yes. They embrace the inevitable ups and downs of relationships as opportunities to learn, communicate, and grow closer.
You've got it. And this approach applies not just to romantic relationships, but to all types of interpersonal connections.
Right.
Friendships, family relationships, they can all benefit from a growth mindset.
So if we want to build stronger, healthier relationships, cultivating a growth mindset is key.
Absolutely. It allows us to approach our interactions with more empathy, compassion, and a willingness to learn and grow together, both as individuals and as a couple.
Okay, this has been incredibly eye-opening. It's clear that these mindsets are pervasive, impacting everything from how we learn a new skill, to how we lead a company, to how we interact with our loved ones.
Dweck's work is a powerful reminder that our beliefs about our abilities have a profound impact on our actions and outcomes. But the good news is we have a choice.
Yeah, we do.
We can choose to cling to a fixed mindset, or we can choose to embrace the power of growth.
And I think we can all agree that choosing growth, even when it's challenging, is the path to a more fulfilling and successful life.
That's a great takeaway. Remember, the journey of growth is ongoing. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way, but it's in those moments that we have the opportunity to truly embody a growth mindset.
Don't miss the final part of our deep dive, where we'll delve into practical strategies for nurturing a growth mindset in ourselves and others. Welcome back to the deep dive. We spent the last two parts really exploring Carol Dweck's mindset, the new psychology of success.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, through the worlds of fixed and growth mindsets.
Totally. We've seen how these beliefs about our abilities impact everything from our performance on the tennis court to the success of a Fortune 500 company.
And even how we navigate our closest relationships.
Exactly. Now, the question on everyone's mind is, can we actually change our mindset?
Yeah.
Is it possible to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset?
That's the million-dollar question, and thankfully Dweck's research offers a resounding yes. It's not like an overnight transformation, but it's definitely possible.
Okay, that's encouraging. But where do we even begin? What are the first steps in making this shift?
Awareness is key. The first step is recognizing when those fixed mindset voices are creeping in. Pay attention to your self-talk. Are you focusing on proving yourself, avoiding challenges, or getting defensive when receiving feedback?
Those are all red flags that the fixed mindset is at play.
Exactly. It's like having a little internal alarm system that goes off whenever you're slipping into that fixed mindset mode.
So once we've identified those fixed mindset patterns, what do we do next? How do we actually start changing those ingrained beliefs?
Dweck suggests actively challenging those fixed mindset thoughts and replacing them with more growth-oriented beliefs. It's a process of cognitive restructuring where you literally rewire your thinking.
So, for example, instead of saying, I'm terrible at math, you'd say, I'm not great at math yet, but I'm willing to learn and improve.
That's it. You're embracing the power of yet.
The power of yet.
It shifts the focus from a fixed trait to a process of growth and development. You're acknowledging that your abilities are not static.
Right.
They're constantly evolving.
It's like saying, I'm a work in progress, and I'm excited about the journey, even the messy parts.
Exactly. Another powerful strategy is to shift your focus from outcomes to the process of learning. Instead of fixating on getting a perfect score on a test. Celebrate the effort you put in and the progress you make along the way.
That takes the pressure off needing to be perfect all the time.
It does. And it allows you to enjoy the learning process itself, which is where the real growth happens.
This is starting to feel more doable.
Yeah.
It's about shifting our perspective and adopting new habits of thinking and behaving. Are there any other strategies that can help facilitate this shift?
Surrounding yourself with people who support a growth mindset is crucial.
So finding mentors, friends, or colleagues who encourage us to stretch ourselves, to take risks.
Yes.
And to see setbacks as learning opportunities.
Exactly. Seek out those growth mindset champions in your life. They'll help you stay motivated, offer constructive feedback, and remind you that it's okay to make mistakes.
And avoid those who reinforce fixed mindset thinking, right?
Yes.
The ones who are constantly comparing themselves to others or putting people down.
It's about creating a supportive ecosystem for growth. An environment where it's safe to experiment, to fail, and to learn. This applies not just to our personal lives, but to our workplaces and schools as well, right? How can we promote a growth mindset in those settings?
Dweck talks about the power of praising effort and strategies over inherent intelligence or talent.
So instead of saying, you're so smart, a teacher might say, wow, you really stuck with that problem and found a creative solution. I'm impressed by your perseverance.
That's the idea. It's about highlighting the process of learning, not just the end result. This encourages students to focus on their effort and to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth.
And in the workplace, leaders can play a huge role in fostering a growth mindset.
Absolutely. By encouraging collaboration, open communication, and continuous learning, leaders can create a culture where people feel valued for their contributions, not just their inherent abilities.
So it's about creating a culture where it's okay to not have all the answers.
Where people feel safe to ask questions, to experiment, and to learn from each other's mistakes.
Exactly. And this creates a much more dynamic and innovative work environment.
This has been such an incredible deep dive into the world of mindsets. I'm walking away with so many valuable insights.
It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
We've seen how our beliefs about our abilities can have a profound impact on our actions and outcomes. But ultimately, we have a choice.
We do.
We can choose to cling to a fixed mindset, or we can choose to embrace the power of growth.
And that's a powerful choice.
And I think we can all agree that choosing growth, even when it's challenging, is the path to a more fulfilling and successful life.
I think you're right.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of mindsets.
It's been fun.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
And that it's given you some things to think about.
And that you'll continue to explore the power of a growth mindset in your own life. So until next time,